10 British foods that are always misunderstood. British food has a reputation that often feels frozen in time, shaped more by jokes and internet stereotypes than by reality. Many traditional dishes are judged by their names, appearances, or outdated assumptions rather than by what they actually offer. In truth, British cooking has always been practical, thoughtful, and shaped by climate, history, and everyday life. This video explores 10 British foods that are always misunderstood, arranged from 10 to 1, and explains why these foods deserve far more understanding than they usually receive. 10. Boiled sweets. Boiled sweets are frequently written off as dull, old-fashioned, or something that belongs in a dusty jar on a shelf. This misunderstanding comes from expecting them to behave like modern sweets, which are designed for instant flavour and immediate satisfaction. Boiled sweets were never meant to work that way. Traditionally, boiled sweets were crafted to last. Their hard texture wasn't an inconvenience, it was the entire point. A single sweet could be enjoyed slowly over time, releasing flavour gradually rather than all at once. This made them ideal for long journeys, cold evenings, or moments when treats were meant to be savoured rather than rushed. Flavour-wise, many traditional boiled sweets used fruit oils, herbs, and subtle infusions that rewarded patience. They weren't about overwhelming sweetness, but about balance. Today, surrounded by intensely flavoured confections, boiled sweets seem quiet by comparison. But quiet doesn't mean empty, it means measured. Their reputation suffers because modern tastes have forgotten how to slow down. 9. Spotted dick. Spotted dick is one of the most unfairly judged British foods, largely because its name invites laughter before understanding. Many people never move beyond the joke, missing what the dish actually represents. At its heart, spotted dick is a steamed pudding made with suet and dried fruit. The spots refer to the currants or raisins, while the name itself comes from historical language rather than anything crude. This dessert was designed to be warming, filling, and dependable, especially during colder months when lighter sweets offered little comfort. Its texture is soft rather than heavy, and when paired with custard, it becomes rich without being excessive. The misunderstanding comes from modern dessert expectations that value elegance over substance. Spotted dick doesn't aim to impress visually, it aims to satisfy. Judging it by its name alone ignores the role it played in everyday British life for generations. 8. Bread and butter pudding. Bread and butter pudding is often dismissed as a poor substitute for a real dessert, simply because it originated as a way to use leftover bread. This assumption misunderstands both the dish's purpose and its skill. Transforming stale bread into something rich and comforting requires balance. The bread must absorb enough liquid to soften without collapsing. The sweetness must be present without overwhelming. The spices must warm rather than dominate. When done properly, bread and butter pudding offers layers of texture and flavour that many modern desserts struggle to achieve. The idea that food made from leftovers is inferior reflects a misunderstanding of traditional British cooking, where resourcefulness was a virtue. Bread and butter pudding is not an accident. It's an example of thoughtful cooking shaped by necessity, and its continued popularity proves it was never just a compromise. 7. Bubble and squeak. Bubble and squeak often gets labelled as a messy pile of leftovers, something thrown together without care. In reality, it is one of the clearest examples of British practicality done well. Traditionally made from cooked vegetables like potatoes and cabbage, bubble and squeak is fried until a crisp crust forms on the outside. Achieving that texture requires patience and restraint. Stirring too often ruins it. Rushing it flattens the flavour. The misunderstanding comes from poorly made versions that are soggy or bland. When prepared properly, bubble and squeak delivers contrast, warmth, and comfort. It was never meant to be glamorous. It was meant to make yesterday's food feel satisfying again. That purpose doesn't make it lesser. it makes it clever. 6. Welsh rarebit. Welsh rarebit is almost always reduced to cheese on toast, a phrase that strips it of its identity and effort. While bread and cheese are involved, the dish is defined by its sauce, not by simplicity. A traditional Welsh rarebit uses a carefully seasoned cheese sauce, often incorporating mustard and other savoury elements. The cheese isn't merely melted, it's transformed into something richer and more complex. The sauce is then grilled over toast until bubbling, creating depth rather than grease. The misunderstanding comes from shortcuts. When made lazily, it becomes exactly what critics expect. When made properly, it proves why it earned its own name. Welsh rarebit isn't a snack pretending to be a dish, it's a dish pretending to be simple. 5. Steak and kidney pudding. Steak and kidney pudding often loses people at the word kidney. Modern eating habits have distanced many from offal, creating a sense of discomfort that didn't exist when this dish was created. In its proper form, kidney adds richness rather than sharpness. It supports the beef instead of overpowering it. Combined with slow cooking and encased in sweat pastry, the result is a warming, deeply savoury dish built for nourishment and comfort. The misunderstanding lies in assuming unfamiliar ingredients automatically produce unpleasant flavours. Historically, using the whole animal was normal and respected. Steak and kidney pudding reflects that mindset. It's not extreme or shocking, it's measured, thoughtful, and far gentler than its reputation suggests. 4. Haggis. Haggis is almost never judged on taste. It is judged on description, usually by people who have never eaten it. Lists of ingredients are repeated with dramatic flair, turning unfamiliarity into spectacle. In reality, haggis is well seasoned, savoury, and comforting. Its texture is closer to a coarse meatloaf than anything alarming, and its flavour relies on balance rather than intensity. It was designed to be filling and warming, using available ingredients efficiently. The misunderstanding comes from cultural distance. Foods outside one's experience are often labelled strange without consideration. Haggis suffers more than most from this reflex. When approached without prejudice, it proves itself as grounded, satisfying food rather than the shock item it's often portrayed as. 3. Black pudding. Black pudding is frequently misunderstood as harsh, heavy, or overpowering. These assumptions usually come from bad experiences or none at all. When cooked properly, black pudding develops a crisp exterior and a soft, well-seasoned interior. Its flavour is rich but balanced, designed to complement rather than dominate. It works best when treated with care rather than aggression. The misunderstanding also stems from discomfort with its ingredients. Historically, black pudding was a practical way to preserve nutrition and avoid waste. Today, that practicality is mistaken for crudeness. In reality, black pudding requires timing and restraint. Its depth comes from control, not excess. 2. Jellied eels. Jellied eels are often treated as a symbol of everything critics believe is wrong with British food. That judgment ignores the time and place in which the dish developed. Eels were once plentiful, affordable, and nutritious. Preserving them in jelly made sense before modern refrigeration. The dish was not created to appeal visually or to impress outsiders. It existed to feed people reliably using local resources. The misunderstanding comes from applying modern expectations to historical food. Judged by contemporary standards, jellied eels seem odd. Judged by their original purpose, they are entirely logical. Dismissing them erases the reality of how people lived and ate. 1. Marmite. No British food is more misunderstood than Marmite. Its reputation is built almost entirely on exaggeration and misuse. The most common mistake is using too much. Marmite was never meant to be spread thickly or eaten alone. Used sparingly, it adds savoury depth rather than bitterness. It functions more like a seasoning than a main flavour. The misunderstanding persists because extreme reactions are encouraged. Marmite has become a cultural joke instead of a food to be understood. When approached correctly, it reveals why it has lasted for generations. Its intensity isn't a flaw, it's the reason it works. British food often suffers from surface-level judgment. Names, appearances, and stereotypes hide the logic behind tradition. Understanding 10 British foods that are always misunderstood reveals a culture built on practicality, balance, and comfort. Misunderstood doesn't mean bad. It often means unfamiliar and worth reconsidering. Thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe and don't forget to turn on the notification bell.